אז Shalom and good afternoon to everyone joining us from New York, and good evening to our friends in London, Paris, and across Europe. My name is Ariel Friedman. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mishkan Israel, and I'm truly happy to welcome you to tonight's webinar, Invest in Israel, a step-by-step guide for international buyers. I'm joined tonight by two great partners and friends, Jonathan and Eddie from LendAbroad, who specialize in helping international buyers finance their home in Israel, and Mr. Eilon Gilad, the CEO of Belong Israel, whose organization does incredible work helping new immigrants and returning residents build their lives here. So tonight we'll cover three main topics. First, an overview of Israel residential real estate market, then a step-by-step guide to buying property in Israel, and finally, mortgage and financing options available for international buyers. We'll also have a live QA session at the end, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat as we go, and we will address everything later on. And also, please make sure you stay tuned until the end of the evening because we'll share a special benefit offer available only for those attending this session. Before we start and dive in, and I promise the information we'll share tonight will be extremely valuable, I wanted to share something a bit personal. 1 second. So earlier this week, I met this amazing young woman from the Tamid organization who runs a program that connects American students with Israeli companies. Okay, she told me how much she is connected to what we do because she herself made Aliyah on her own after growing in a very Zionistic home, and she said it was the best decision of her life. She also shared how difficult things have become for Jewish students in the US since October 7, and how expressing their love and support for Israel has become so challenging, and also how much fear and confusion there is these days about what Israel really is. And then she said something that really moved me. She said, this program is such a beautiful way to show the students that Israel is still here. And it's still the same wonderful, safe, and inspiring place where they can feel connected to each other and to the Jewish part of themselves. And I thought, that's exactly what drives us. Helping people reconnect with Israel, with community, and with a true sense of home. With that said, I'd like to invite Mr. Eilon Gilad, the CEO of Belong Israel, to say a few words. Eilon, please.
Yeah, just got out of mute. So hello, everybody. I'm Elon Gilad, CEO of Belong. We're a Zionist impact company dedicated to make sure that the connection between diaspora Jews and Israel is getting stronger and stronger. At Belong, we make the journey, the Aliyah journey, smoother. We reduce the friction in every step of the way, around the bureaucratic with the Israeli government and any other bureaucracy that is happening along the journey, and there's lots of them. We offer knowledge, community, and trusted partners who make the engagement with Israel easier and way more rewarding for Jews around the world, including investors and families that wants to build their future with us. We're proud to partner with Mishkan as our real estate ally, supporting every stage of the process, from consultation, financing, legal support, and even getting to property management. Please make sure to visit our website, Belong COAL, that you see here. Includes a lot of information around us, and enjoy the session.
Thank you, Eilon. So we'll get going. Well, here's how we'll keep things tonight focused and clear and practical. Okay, so as you can see, in about 40 minutes or so, you have the full picture on how to buy and finance a home in Israel step by step. So let's get going. We start with Israel residential market overview. So despite everything, and maybe because of everything, Israel remains one of the strongest real estate market in the world. Okay, the residential market here has shown steady long-term growth, with prices level rising by 180% since 2005, which basically means that an apartment, let's say a four-room apartment in Bat Yam, who cost 1 million shekels in 2005, will cost today 2.8 million. And what's even more remarkable is that this trend has continued across different economic cycles. Okay, so like any market, the Israeli market is driven by supply and demand. The difference is that the Israeli housing market has some very unique characteristics on the demand side. Okay, it's fueled by strong demographics, continuous immigration, and cultural values that place home ownership at the center of family and community. And on the supply side, well, as you know, we're talking about a very small country with a very limited amount of land available for development. So as you can see in the chart describing the price index over the last 20 years, prices have followed a consistent upward trajectory. Okay, for the past 2 decades, every slowdown has been followed by renewed growth. When we look at the chart, we can see in 2008, okay, in the global during the global financial crisis. So we can see that the pace of the price growth was slowed down briefly, but then immediately we see the market surge forward again. The same pattern repeated also around 2019 at the COVID pandemic, where a short pause in price growth followed by another strong upward rebound. So based on these past cycles, we expect to see similar recovery unfolding now as well. Okay, we can see the October 7 on the chart, and we'll talk briefly about the meaning of that. So this is why we believe the current moment represents a strategic opportunity for buyers. Okay, so to understand why this market behaves the way it does, let's take a closer look at what's driving Israel's real estate market. Okay, so first, the demographics. Israel has one of the fastest growing populations in the developed world. Okay, the population grows about 1.5% every year, fueled both by natural growth and a continuous influx of immigrants. It's also a very young population, which means a constantly rising demand for new housing, not just in big city, but across the entire country. And add to that like about 50% divorce rate that creates even more housing demand, and you start to get the picture. Next is the land scarcity. So as we said, Israel is a small country with limited developable land. Also, strict zoning and complex land conversion processes make it difficult to expand supply quickly. Also, most of the population wants to live in the central region, what we call Gadera to Hadera, which creates ongoing upward pressure on the prices. Then we have the economic strength. Well, it's almost unbelievable, really. But as we saw, while Israel is literally fighting for its survival on 7 different fronts, the economy continues not only to function, but to grow and thrive. Okay, the shekel has regained enormous strength against major currencies. The GDP keeps rising, and foreign investments continue to flow in even these days. So combined with the conservative approach of the Israeli banks and a stable financial system, this creates a market that remains remarkably strong and resilient despite all of the challenges that we are facing today. Now, regarding interest rates, so as we know, in recent years, we've seen a dramatic rise in interest rates. And as a consequence of that, noticeable increase in mortgage costs. Yet this shift, people are still willing to absorb the higher payments in order to achieve what for many Israelis is a truly a life dream, owning their own home. So yeah, the rate hikes have caused some short-term movements in the market, but they haven't managed to stop the underlying demand. Home ownership remains such a powerful social and emotional goal here that even rising costs haven't slowed people down, which lead us to the next points, which are, cultural values and foreign demand. So in Israel, real estate is much more than an investment, it's a value. Owning a home is viewed as a social and family priority, often supported by intergenerational help from parents and grandparents, and it seems as a symbol of stability and belonging. And that's one of the reasons why demand stays strong, okay, both from Israelis and from Jews abroad who want to strengthen their connection to Israel. Okay, as next slide, we're talking about rental market strength. So as people who's interested in investing in Israel, let's talk about the rental market, which plays a huge role in Israel's real estate ecosystem. Okay, over the past year, rental prices have increased by more than 5% nationwide, and the demand for rental housing remains exceptionally strong. Okay, so we can see that on average, occupancy rates are above 93%, and in Tel Aviv, they're close to 96%, which means basically that properties rarely stay vacant for long. Um, when we look at the key cities, as we see here, the trends becomes more clear. For example, in Tel Aviv, the average rent for a four-room apartment, what we call a four-room apartment, basically known as three-bedroom apartment, is somewhere around 8,600 shekels, and in Jerusalem, it's about 6,500. Netanya with roughly 5,200. We can see Ra'anana driven by strong communities from France and the UK, which remains popular among English-speaking families. And we can see also emerging coastal cities like Hadera and Haifa, all offer growing investment potential at more affordable entry prices. And what makes it even stronger is that rental demand is fueled by both local residents and foreign buyers, many of whom purchase apartments for long-term residential income while maintaining personal connection to Israel. I've been asked to say that everyone can write some questions, whether it's in the chat or in the QA. So if you have something coming up while we're speaking, just put it down, and we'll get to everyone, at the second part. Moving forward, let's talk a little bit about ROIs. If we're talking investment, so of course ROI is a crucial factor. When we combine the rental income with the capital appreciation, so we get a total of return on investment, okay? And that's where the Israeli market, really stands out. If you compare it to other channels of investment, you can see that it, it, it it goes beyond S&P 500, it goes beyond the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Across main cities, the average combined of the annual return over the past 5 years has been around 8 to 9%, as we can see. And in emerging places like Netanya, Haifa, and Bet Shemesh, where the land value is still relatively low, but the demand for rent is very high, so the return even reached 9 and even over 10%. So driven by both strong rental demand and steady property value growth, that's a clear sign that even though we have global and local challenges, if to say the least, real estate in Israel continues to deliver solid long-term performance. Okay, so why do we say that right now, and this is a very interesting point to be taken under consideration. I think maybe the main point in tonight's session. Why do we say we called it a limited time opportunity, and the question is why do we say that right now is a truly unique opportunity and not just as a marketing slogan? Okay, so what happened in Israel over the past 2 years can be described as what we call a black swan event. Okay, it began, like in many other countries, with a sharp rise in global interest rates from near zero to over 5% in a very short period of time. And then soon after came October 7th, which completely changed the atmosphere, and most of it, I think that the sense of stability in Israel was compromised. So the combination of these two dramatic events effectively froze the housing market. And I say froze because it didn't eliminate the demand. We saw the demand is always there, whether we like it or not. But it simply made people pause for a long time. Okay, people were waiting for more certainty and more clarity before making big decisions. Where you are, inside the biggest war we ever known, and your day to day seems like nothing you could imagine. Thinking of making steps like, owning, buying a new home, for many people that wasn't possible. So we saw just a pause in the market. But also at the same time, we have in Israel a government housing subsidy program for first-time buyers, which also led many young couples to delay their purchases, hoping to qualify for assistance. So all of this created, for the first time in many, many years, a situation where developers found themselves holding a surplus of unsold apartments. Okay, we can see in the chart that usually there is a big distance between demand and supply. And here we have this point where, for the first time in really many, many years, supply exceeds demand. But what we know, okay, is that this surplus of unsold apartments. So first, it's a result of the major construction boom that we had in 2021 and 2022, which were very good years for the developers. And so today we have this situation, but it's a very temporary oversupply in the market. And because of that, the developers are offering significant incentives and discounts without formally lowering the price. But in practice, it means that it's a buyer's market. Okay, and the deals that you could get these days, or I would say in the last year or so, they are deals that you couldn't dream of in 2022, let's say. Okay, and suddenly they became possible. Nevertheless, and considering all that, in recent weeks, following the ceasefire that we all hope will remain, we've already seen a gradual return of activity and renewed demand in the market. And that's exactly why this moment, these actual days, okay, represents a real, but a very short, we believe, window of opportunity. Okay, today buyers can still negotiate and secure excellent deals before the market regains, the momentum. So also with that in mind, later on, our friends from LendAbroad will explain the financing options that can really make this whole thing possible. For those, of course, planning to use a mortgage when buying here, they can help you get, from the bank what we call a decision in principle. It's in Hebrew we say ishur ekroni. It's an initial pre-approval for financing from an Israeli bank. And it's a simple document, but it makes a big difference. Okay, it shows developers that you're a serious, qualified buyer, and it can often help you negotiate better terms. Of course, if you don't need financing, that's great too. And in that case, you just need to smile with confidence. Basically, nothing says serious buyer quite like paying in cash. So, um, you know, I think that is understood. Let's take a closer look on the process and how it actually looks. Okay, so if to some, I would say the part of our market overview, I think that we can understand that this market is very strong, very resilient, and it's not a matter of timing. It's been so for ages now, or decades, I would say. And the reason behind it are valid. Okay, so demand is very, very high, and eventually this leads all, year after year for prices to go up as an investment. That's a good news. Also, we see on the other hand that the rental demand is only getting stronger, and the timing now, it's a very good timing. So if you were wondering, if you were considering, if you have a dream of owning a property in Israel, we definitely recommend now is the time to act. Okay, so let's go to the next stage of our conversation, where we will talk a little bit about how does a journey of owning a home in Israel, how does it look? Um, and let's get going. So step one, the first step is what we Israeli call the tachles. Okay, tachles, it's an Aramic word for the Hebrew word of tachlit, which literally means purpose. Okay, and that's exactly what we do in this stage. This is basically what this whole process is all about. Okay, if I can borrow a line from the Jewish wisdom, we say sof maaseh b'machshava tchila. Okay, basically the end of doing begins with a thought. And this is where we take the time to understand your goals and more important, your why. Okay, what are you hoping to achieve, and for what purpose? Because once we know where you want to go and why, we can make the process relevant, efficient, and also personalized. Okay, it's very different if you're planning to make Aliyah next year, let's say, and looking for a home in a specific neighborhood in Ra'anana, for example, versus if you're simply seeking to own property in Israel that also serves as a strong investment. Okay, and if we're talking about investment, so here also it's not one size fits all. So we ask key questions. Okay, we ask what kind of investor are you? What is your risk for appetite? How flexible your timeline is. Okay, and based on that, we can identify the most suitable opportunities for your needs. Okay, and it's very, very individual. And sourcing opportunities for you, starting from buying land parcels under different rezoning stages, or sourcing properties in urban renewal compounds, or properties located near the new metro lines currently being built. Our expertise and knowledge and control of the market allows us to source true opportunities, but it depends, what the function is, what you're looking for. So this is the first very important stage. At this stage, we also talk perspective numbers. Okay, so we ask what is your budget, and we talk about your financing options, which Jonathan will talk broadly quite after, and what kind of taxes you can expect. So basically, by the end of this first step, this first meeting that we're having, you already have a clear roadmap of your journey ahead. Okay. Step two, search and selection. The property search. So once we understand your goals, as we said, we move on to finding the right property. Okay, so we use our market insight to explore neighborhoods that match your lifestyle and your investment objectives. Then we arrange virtual, if from far away, or in-person tours here in Israel, so you can see the options clearly, and it doesn't matter where you are. There are great technologies today allowing foreign buyers choose apartments from abroad with there are some software that enable us to show you the project and the surrounding and how the flat will look. So it's very easy today. And finally, we narrowed down the shortlist together, combining your preferences with our professional recommendations, basically to identify the best opportunity for you. Okay, so after we know you, who you are, and we search and select a specific property, then we move on to the due diligence part. Okay, basically here the execution of the transaction starts. Okay, at this stage, after we have a specific property, so our legal team conducts all of the essential tech checks that needs to be done on the property. Okay, we, among other things, we verify the seller's ownership rights. We make sure there are no third-party claims or hidden issues, and confirm that everything complies with planning and building regulations. And in parallel, we arrange a professional engineering inspection where needed to ensure the property is also structurally sound, so you can move forward with full confidence and with no surprises. Then, in the next step, the whole financial stage is coming into effect. So our friends will guide you through the mortgage process step by step, helping you to explore the best options available for non-residents. Our team will also provide tax consultation, explaining all relevant obligations, from purchase tax to the ongoing property taxes. And since many of our clients transfer money from abroad, we also advise on currency management, helping you transfer and structure funds efficiently, of course, according to regulation, all of it to make the most out of your investment. Now we get to the part, once everything is, checks out, we move to the contract and the closing stage. Our legal team negotiates the purchase agreement. We make sure your interests are fully protected. We then coordinate the fund transfer, again, in accordance with Israeli banking regulations. We handle all the tax settlement and closing procedures, so the transaction is completed smoothly, safely, and with full transparency. And then the final step, finally, you own a home in Israel, Mazel Tov. We handle the land registry process to officially record your ownership. We assist with relocation, the wonderful belong, and well needed property management. And we help you even connect with the local community, okay? Because for us, eventually, it's not about just, completing another transaction. It's all about helping you build a real home and a sense of belonging in Israel. Okay, so as you can see, and again, we invite you to post any question, and we'll get there soon. But basically, as you can see, buying a home in Israel can be a clear and structured journey. And with the right team beside you, it can also be smooth and inspiring experience. This is what we aim to achieve. And that's exactly where we as Mishkan Israel comes as your trusted partner every step of the way. We believe that buying home in Israel should be simple, transparent, and deeply personal. We serve as your one-stop shop, combining real estate advisory, legal representation, financing and tax guidance, property management, and even community integration once you're here. Our mission is not only to help you buy a property, but to help you build your story in Israel with a team of professionals who share your values, understand your needs, and walk beside you every step of the way. So now we've covered the full journey to owning a home in Israel. Let's move on to one of the most important parts of the process, financing. I'm very happy to hand things over to Jonathan from LendAbroad, who will walk us through everything you need to know about mortgage options for foreign buyers. So Jonathan, בבקשה, please.
Thank you, Ariel. Hi all, nice to meet you. My name is Jonathan from LendAbroad. I'm co-founder of LendAbroad. Basically, we are a tech startup. We specialize in overseas mortgages, and here we are today to talk about how to get a mortgage in Israel as a foreigner. So let's dive in. So first of all, let's talk about the first document that usually buyers in Israel get, and this is the decision in principle or pre-approval, or as we call it in Hebrew, אישור עקרוני. Why we should get that in Israel? Mainly two reasons. The first reason is because it really shows that you are serious. When you go to see flats in Israel, one of the very first questions that you will be asked is whether you have your decision in principle already. The second reason to get this issue עקרוני is because you want to know how much you can actually borrow. And this is a very good first step to understand what is available to you. The second thing that happen when you are in your mortgage process is after the issue عקרוני, the bank, the lender will want to get more details about your income and about the property and so on. Usually, it's a process that takes 2-3 weeks. You will be asked to provide a lot of documents, and there will be an appraisal scheduled. The last stage in your mortgage process is to actually get your mortgage, and this is the final decision of your mortgage. You sign the document. You can sign them also overseas. We'll talk about it, how you can do that. You need to have a life insurance and to register the mortgage in the Tabu in Israel. So the bank has like a first charge on your property. And finally, you get the funds. Actually, it's the seller that will get the funds, but this is the really last step in your mortgage. Next page. Okay, now there are few things that are quite unique in Israel when we talk about mortgage, and specifically when we talk about foreigners getting a mortgage. So the first thing that you should all know is that Israelis can get by high street banks 75% LTV. Foreigners are limited to 50% LTV. Okay, meaning that if you are going to buy a property of 4 mil, you will be able to get only 2 mil of a loan of only 2 mil. Stricter documents are also required. And that's the very, very first important thing to understand. So you should really know that your loan will be lower than Israeli loan. Um, they will want to see, the bank will want to see. Can you please go back to the previous? Yes, thank you. The second thing that the bank will want to see is that you can afford to pay, that you have a net income, right? That is the monthly payment of your mortgage will be less than 40% of your net income. And this is really a guideline because many banks will actually require 33%, but 40% will be really the maximum that usually you will be able to loan. Now, another very, very big difference in Israeli mortgages is that they are complex. And as opposed to many other countries, the mortgage that you will get is actually a blend of different type of loans across different number of years. So it's not like in the UK, for example, that you take, I don't know, 500K loan with 5% fixed rate. In Israel, it's a blend of different elements. So you will have a fixed rate, you will have then a variable or prime linked, okay? Then you will have an inflation linked element. And there are many other elements that the bank can actually use, and you will get a loan which is a blend of all those different type of loans. So if we take a numerical example, let's say you want to buy a property, a 3 mil property. As a foreign resident, as a non-resident, as we said, you're limited to 50% LTV, so it's 1.5 mil. And then you will have this blend system that we talked about. So this is just an example, but it's a quite realistic example. So you see the complexity of the loan. You will get, for example, 50% fixed across 16 years at 5.2%. Okay. Then you will get 30% of prime minus 0.4. The prime today is 6%. So it's 5.6%, and this will be across 30 years. And then you will have another 20% adjustable every 5 years, inflation link for 20 years at 4.2. Now, this is actually, so this loan of 1.5 mil includes different elements. And the complexity of this loan make it really, really difficult to understand if you're not really a specialist in Israel. And there are many reasons why the banks in Israel are doing it. But the bottom line is that it's very difficult to compare between mortgages in Israel, because if you have a friend that has a mortgage, and let's say they pay, I don't know, 8,000 shekel a month, it can really be different because the blend that he has is includes different risks and different inflation and different things that maybe your mortgage, which is at 9,000 a month, the repayment is actually much safer in some way. So that's really to show you the complexity of the mortgages in Israel. Okay, now a few tips as a foreign national buyer in Israel. You can ask. There are products that are actually your loan is actually attached to the USD or to the euro or to the pound. Okay, so then you have less exposure. So if you keep getting incomes from your country, so it might be wise to actually link it to your own currency. The second tip, which is a very useful tip, especially if you buy an off-plan project, is to actually use an interest-only initial payment. So let's say you will get your project built in 2 or 3 years. So instead of looking for a mortgage in 2 or 3 years, you can lock the rates by simply taking an interest only for those 2 3 years, and then when you need to transfer the big part of the price, then you will have all the repayment and the principal that will actually kick in. And this is very important to understand when you have a first end projects. There are different strategies to secure a mortgage versus a second-hand property. Um, and a few other things that you should know about Israel is that first-hand can actually take a couple of years until the project is built, and then you actually need to transfer the full amount. And with the second hand, the complexity is that many times you will get a lower valuation than even the price that you purchase, because in Israel the market is, it can be very wild, and a lot of flats are actually sold at a price, and then um, and then the valuation will actually say that the price is lower. And because you limit it to 50% LTV, it means that actually you will get, in terms of real price that you paid, only 40%, for example, or something like that. Okay. Um, Additional things to consider is that there are penalties in Israel for early repayment. So assuming you want to repay a part of your loan, fixed rate portion, so the element of your loan which is fixed rate, if you repay it, in some circumstances, you may have to pay a quite high penalty, and this will happen if there is a big change in the fixed rate. Another very important thing is that in Israel, the broker or the mortgage advisor are actually, I wouldn't say an an absolute necessary, but it's close to that. And the reason is that unlike many other markets, the rates, the mortgage is not transparent, and it's very negotiable. And those brokers, they know actually what you can get. And if you go by yourself, you may not be able to secure those rates. Also, they save a lot of time. And finally, even if you don't live in Israel, you can actually use them by using a power of representation. The third point, which is very important to understand as well, is the additional cost of the insurance. So in Israel, you have to have a life insurance and property insurance, and those insurance, when you get a mortgage, and those insurance can actually add significant monthly cost. It depends on your age and your health situation, and it can be thousands of shekels, sometimes a month. So it can really be high depending on your age and your health situation. Okay, so as I said, LendAbroad, we are an AI-powered cross-border mortgage platform. We operate in different countries, but we operate in Israel as well, specifically for Olim and international buyers that want to buy in Israel. The Isur Ekroni that I mentioned is usually a service that we charge $99. But for the participants of this webinar, you can get it for free. Just use the coupon Aliyah 2025. Um, this is our app to get your Isur Ekroni or decision in principle. Next page. Next page, Ariel. Okay, so LendAbroad, we're really about simplifying international mortgages. We are very proud to offer probably the fastest Isur Ekroni in Israel at this stage. The reason why you should get your Isur Ekroni or decision principle is, as we said, It will help you get your property before it's gone. It will help you actually stand out when you see properties and you talk to sellers. It definitely gives you an edge. All the documents can be uploaded to our platform, so it's a one-stop shop. You have access to different brokers and bank instantly. And again, it's a one-stop shop, so very easy. You're welcome to use it and test it.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, for this very, very important information. And of course, again, any questions, please put down in the chat, and we are getting there. I would like to finalize our discussion. As you can see, the key takeaways of what we talked about. Basically, Israel as a resilient, high growth real estate market, and the opportunity, the strategic opportunity of buying window because of the circumstances. We talked about the step-by-step guidance to ensure smooth purchase, and what just Jonathan said about financing solutions available through LendAbroad. And if to conclude, and before we go to the question, I just want to say there are many of you here tonight, and we are grateful for that. And we know that each of you has different goals, different dreams, and different timelines. And our mission is simple. We are here to give you real value with no commitment and no strings attached. We are all Zionists at heart, and we want to see more people owning homes and building lives in Israel. So as a small token of your participation this evening, we Mishkan also, we're offering each participant a free one-on-one consultation, 1 hour with one of our professionals, whether it's for legal matters, real estate advisory, mortgages, whatever is most relevant for you. We are here not just as advisors, but as your friends and partners on this journey. Okay, so before we wrap it up, and as promised, we will move to the question raised. So we will start. I can see questions about how we are compensated in quite a few forms. So I would say this, our services are very much flexible and customized. We build a suit per each partner, per each client, according to his needs. I can say that we have very, very competitive range of prices, and when obtaining several services from everything that we offer, we also offer big discounts. So we welcome you to schedule a free consultation meeting with us. Tell us about yourselves, and then we can quote you according to what you actually need. So this is regarding Mishkan compensation. How do we contact Mishkan? You can contact us via email, WhatsApp, phone number. We will present it shortly. You can, of course, go to our website, mishkanisrael.com, where you have all of the information. Um, Randy is asking, how do we figure out the right neighborhood or location in Israel that is aligned to who we are as individuals? So that is a very good question. And most of our clients identify their preferences, meaning if you're religious and the amenities nearby should have a synagogue, or if you have young kids and you need schools, or if you're in pension and you want some culture around you. So we understand what you're looking for, and then we can, according to our market knowledge, provide you with analysis of the neighborhoods of the cities, so you can choose. It's always a great idea to come visit and see the things for yourself, feel the people, feel the atmosphere. But nevertheless, we have great experience in helping people also buying from abroad. So it's definitely up to you. Um, Paul is asking, and Jonathan, I will let you answer. Can I get a mortgage based on assets?
Okay, great question. So the short answer is that in Israel, usually they will look at your income, but assets can help in some ways, but the main route to get a mortgage in Israel is through your income, whether you have incomes from properties abroad or you have incomes from salaries or your company or whatever, but the bank will want to see that you have incomes every month.
Okay, and last question I see here. When can we get the listing on property? So, it with us it works a little bit different. We are not tied to any property listings whatsoever. Meaning, we will source the right property for you according to what you're looking for. Meaning, tell us what is your budget. Tell us what is the objective of your purchase. We do work with almost all of the developers here in Israel. We have a combined, I would say, at least 50 years of experience between our team. And among others, we have real estate lawyers, we have appraisers, we have brokers. So we have very good control of the market. So once we understand, we talked about the steps. Once we understand what you're looking for, then we create a listings of property. It's customized to your needs. We send it to you with all of the information, and then we go over things and you choose. And this is how we work. So I would like to conclude this evening.
So we
And
have we have another question here from Randy.
yes, sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
Um, okay, so the question is, I am retired and my income is from my portfolio. Will this be a problem? Um, right. So this is a slightly different scenario because if you can prove that you have a portfolio of properties and you get income, you get rent um, regularly, and you're an experienced landlord, right? So it's been like that for a while. I would say more than a year or two. Then yes, it will be possible to get a mortgage based on that on those income. Yeah.
Okay, thank you again, Jonathan, for that. I want to thank you all so much for taking the time and joining us tonight. It is really heartwarming for us to have the privilege simply to help our Jewish diaspora brothers connect to Israel. We hope this session helped you see that buying home in Israel is not only possible but truly within reach. So, on behalf of Mishkan Israel and LendAbroad and Belong, we want to thank you for taking the time to connect with us. We'd love to stay in touch. You have our information on the screen. And for the one who asked about the presentation, upon demand, upon request, we will be happy to send it. Hopefully, we will be able to welcome you all soon home here in Israel. So, shalom and have a wonderful evening. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.